Donald Trump's wearing so much fake tan that technically he's the second person of colour to be elected president.
They say travel broadens the mind, except with Americans, which tends to widen the arse. A lot of people quote the fact that only 10% of Americans have passports. The thing is, they say it like it's a bad thing. Don't get the wrong idea, I've got nothing against Americans. Just one came up to me after a show a couple of weeks ago and said he thought I was patronising. I said, well, I think you'll find that's pronounced patronising. It means when you talk down to someone. Don't worry, I'm not being condescending. I'm far too busy thinking about important things you wouldn't understand.
That's a P. Diddy joke.
A P. Diddy joke? Well, sir, I don't think it's a laugh. Those P. Diddy parties made me sick. Seriously, the catering was awful. Did you read this? Did you read about this American man that's suing his ex-wife to get back the kidney he donated to her while they were married? That is taking the piss. Right, I need a superpower. America? How's that helping? No! People forget Joe Biden is still in charge. Biden's clearly got dementia and he's escalating tensions with Russia. I'm just worried he's planning on starting World War I. Well, I've got a couple that I really like. The Detroit bomber. Do you know this guy that flew into Detroit last Christmas? So he flew into Detroit airport. He had an explosive device in his underpants. The triggering device went off. The explosives didn't detonate. So there was smoke billowing around, but everything didn't blow up straight away. Just smoke billowing. So the other passengers, you can imagine in America post 9/11 how they put him out. They didn't run and get a safety blanket and some water and a stewardess. No, they stamped the fucker out. In quite a camp flamenco style, if this is anything to go by. Possibly with a... But, I mean, they fucking ruined this guy. They didn't kill him, but they ruined him. Now, normally, I would say, well, you know what? Fuck him. He was trying to kill innocent people as they flew home for Christmas. Fuck him very much. But my heart goes out to this guy, because his court case is coming up in America in the next couple of months, and he's going to have a very tough time in a court of law defending himself, because the prosecution have got it so easy. The prosecution is just going to go, you telling the truth? Yeah, I'm telling the truth. Were your pants on fire? There's a company in America now making thongs, you know the item of underwear, size 26 and over. That's big, isn't it? I just question, is it necessary? I think any pair of knickers over size 20 is a thong within 4 steps. We're all familiar with the hungry bum syndrome. I saw a woman earlier on the street, looked like she was chewing a toffee. Any other belief systems? Creationism. Creationism's quite good. The crazies that believe that everything was built in 7 days, is it? Yeah. Any creationists in? No. Not really my target audience. People that amazingly naive. God love them. Or Americans, as we call them. I'm not sure if you're aware of this. Did you know you're 10 times more likely to get mugged in London than you are in New York City? It's because you don't live in New York City. Actually, my favourite news story of the last year came from America. I'm sure you all saw this story in the papers or on TV. It was a story about a man in Utah, an American man, who he was out rambling in the wilds of Utah, the beautiful desert landscape, and there was a rock fall, and he got his hand trapped underneath a massive boulder, and he had to sever his own hand in order to walk to freedom. Incredible story about human courage and spirit. Did you all see that story? Well, I can't believe anyone saw it and didn't ask themselves the question, because I think it does beg the question, would I be able to do that? I've given it quite a lot of thought, and I think, yes, I would be able to do that. What do I care about an American's hand? If it's life or death, I'll cut his fucking head off. The other story that sort of tickled me from America, not quite as inspiring, I'll be absolutely honest with you, was the story of an English woman and an American man. This made the papers earlier in the year. They were flying from JFK to London Heathrow, never met each other before, flying in first class. They just knew each other for 8 hours, and they were arrested as they came into land at Heathrow. And the reason they were arrested was because the lady was filleting the man. I mean, sucking off. Yes, as they came into land, the lady was filleting the man. I myself prefer a boiled sweet. I just can't quite imagine how that happened. Presumably, at some point, she turned to him and said, "My ears are popping. Have you got a boiled sweet?" And he said, no, I haven't, but I've got an idea.
Donald Trump, for me, I know a lot of people think ill of him, but for me, Donald Trump is my spirit animal. I'll tell you why. I look at Donald Trump and I see a TV host who became the most powerful man in the world. And I dare to dream. I am a spray tan away from power.
I was going to tell you a story about a gig I did recently. I did a gig for Mojo magazine. It's a big, pop magazine. And did a gig, it all went well. I was doing their award show for them. They invited me on. They said, yeah, will you do our awards? I said, my pleasure, lovely. Lots of rock stars and rock chicks, it'd be cool. There was the awards there. I was just doing sort of 10-minute stand-up to begin with. I told a slightly anti-American joke. I said, of course, in Britain, we've got eat as much as you like restaurants, whereas in America, you've got eat as much as you can. You've added that important ingredient, competition. So not only could you be enjoying a delicious meal, you could be beating a personal best. Thus, the necessity for 3 pockets on the back of your jeans, you fat fucks. And a voice from the back of the room shouted, "Fuck off!" I thought, I presume you're American, are you? He said, yes. I said, think of it as friendly fire. He then shouted, "Fuck off" again, but louder. I thought, well, I better deal with this. I said, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, the only reason I got into comedy and doing this kind of thing is because I thought it would be a bit of a fanny magnet. I wasn't expecting a cunt like that. At which point, the editor of Mojo magazine, who was sitting just down here, got up and looked like he was going to come around and pull me off. Not like that. That was funny, well done. No, you go ahead. I sort of signalled to him to stop. I signalled to him to stop. I said, I'm sorry, sir, it was a cheap shot. It's a bullseye, doesn't matter. And I apologise unreservedly, sir. I did not mean to... Well, I mean, the thing was, the line got a laugh, but then there was an audible, ooh. I thought, well, who have I told to fuck off? It was a guy called Anthony Kiedis, who's the lead singer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And I'd noticed on the way in that he was on the cover of Mojo magazine, and I wasn't. I thought, this is a social faux pas of epic proportions. And I thought, well, I better apologise unreservedly. I said, I am sorry. If I've caused any offence, I'm sorry. I did not mean to call you a cunt. I'm sure you're not. I'm sure you don't have the depth or the capacity to give pleasure. I'd say comfortably 4 minutes later, I was presenting him with a Lifetime Achievement Award. Any other questions?
What do you think of Trump?
What do I think of Trump? Well, when Donald Trump first took to office, little did he know. Some people think Donald Trump on the political scene, some people think Donald Trump was a breath of fresh air. Some people think he's a fucking idiot, but one thing's for sure, he's a fucking idiot. In the interest of fairness, though, I mean, Donald Trump is 77, Joe Biden is 81. I never thought I'd hear myself say this, but come on, prostate cancer. I just don't understand it. Why would you become an Islamic fundamentalist suicide bomber on the off chance you might get 72 virgins when you die? Become a Catholic priest and have them now! Life's for living, am I right? My favourite suicide bomber of the last year. Oh, you're better than me because you haven't got a list, whatever. My favourite suicide bomber, well, I've got a couple that I really like. The Detroit bomber. Do you know this guy that flew into Detroit last Christmas? So he flew into Detroit airport. He had an explosive device in his underpants. The triggering device went off. The explosives didn't detonate. So there was smoke billowing around, but everything didn't blow up straight away, just smoke billowing. So the other passengers, you can imagine in America post 9/11 how they put him out. They didn't run and get a safety blanket and some water and a stewardess. No, they stamped the fucker out. I was playing music in the car, and my kid was singing along, and he said the N-word. I was mortified. I thought, I've got to stop playing this whole genre, which is a shame because I love country music.
In America, in Oklahoma, where that fertilizer bomb went off, they've now got a garden of remembrance. And it has come up a treat. So every cloud. These kids in American high schools, I'm sure you've read about them, 14, 15, 16 years of age, they go into their high school with automatic weapons and handguns, they go apeshit. They shoot 20 or 30 of their fellow pupils before turning one of the guns on themselves. What is their fucking problem? Do they not know where the staff room is? They could be heroes.
You know why so many American kids die in high school massacres? It's because they're not allowed to run in the corridors. Take your time with that, that's wrong on a number of levels.
They're an organisation in America that believe in holding on to their virginity and chastity until marriage. Britney Spears was a member. I think there's some footage of her leaving on the internet. Anyway, their slogan's True Love Waits. I thought, True Love Waits is such a lovely slogan, it deserves a t-shirt. True Love Waits. Pulls out and comes on her tits.
In America, they're called astronauts. In Russia, they're called cosmonauts. And in Britain, they're called balloonists. The greatest ride at Disney is the girl that works in the Toffee Apple kiosk.
Hello, I'm Jimmy Carr, and I've got a new tour. It's called Jimmy Carr Laughs Funny. Now, I think jokes are like magnets. They attract some people. Some people like my comedy, and a million of you came to see me on my last tour. Thanks very much, by the way. But like magnets, jokes attract and they repel. Some people are repelled by my sense of humour. If that's you, don't come and see me live. But if you like this kind of thing, come and see Jimmy Carr Laughs Funny. I'll be everywhere. Go to jimmycarr.com for details.